Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. The charity sector in Australia is big business. There are around 60,000 charities across the country, and some estimates put employment at 1.5 million and revenue about 226 billion, which of course includes plenty of government funding. It's a diverse group working locally and internationally in a broad range of areas, including health, education, social welfare, religion, culture, human rights, the environment, and animal welfare. One charity based in Manly in Sydney is Royal Far West. Its remit is to look after country kids, and it's heading towards its 100-year anniversary. Joining me this morning is the CEO of Royal Far West, Jacqui Emery. Jacqui, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Hello, Sean.
Explain what you do.
Well, Royal Far West is a child development service, and we provide health care for country kids. And, right now there is a lot of gaps for country kids, and the needs have never been greater.
Okay, so let's get the history. You're about to turn 100, and that's kind of part of the reason we're here today. It started by a guy called Stanley Drummond, who was a reverend in Western New South Wales, and he took a holiday in Manly and decided that kids in the far west needed a break by the seaside.
Yeah, look, Stanley and his wife, Lucy, were incredible visionaries. They just had this dream, and the very next year they started bringing kids to Sydney, and very soon they created a holiday camp for kids that lived a very, very long way from the sea. And many of those kids, all of those children back then, it was the first time they'd actually seen the sea. And we get kids coming today that still have never seen the sea before. So the respite and the beauty of Manly means a lot to country families.
Okay, what's the climate like for charities at the moment?
Great question. It's definitely a challenging time for charities. I think the cost of living crisis is really impacting fundraising for all charities. Also, there's a lot of change happening with government. This current government, there's been a lot of reviews. Happily, there's a lot more focus on children, which is great. But we're yet to really see how all of those reforms are going to play out, especially for the charity sector that plays such an important role in filling gaps where government just can't reach. Essentially, the system stops, and that's where not-for-profits take over.
So is the cost of living crisis harming fundraising?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You think about it. When everyone is looking at their household budget, often the first thing that they do is look, where are we giving away money? What things can we cut? And often it's that regular donation to a charity that gets cut.
Okay, now this might be a dumb question, but surely in a world which is smaller than it's ever been before, the needs of rural and remote communities are being better met. Therefore, a charity like yours is less necessary. Or have I got that wrong?
Well, I wish that was the case, but sadly it's not. Right now, right across Australia, there are so many communities that just don't have paediatricians, don't even necessarily have GPs. And this crisis is just getting worse. And so, we have families telling us and reporting to us that they can wait up to 6 years to see a paediatrician. And when you think about a child's development, often the window where you can really make the biggest impact with kids has closed by that time. So it is a big problem. And then, once a child perhaps understands what is going on for them, or the family understands what's going on for the child, often they need supports from allied health professionals like speech pathologists and occupational therapists, and sometimes even clinical psychologists. But again, we've got chronic rural workforce shortages in those areas.
Okay, what about telecommunications? So the idea of telehealth, and I know that Royal Far West was in many ways a pioneer in telehealth well before COVID. Has that helped you do your job?
Oh, absolutely. And certainly when COVID struck, we were literally able to send our workforce home, and they continued to deliver services the very next day. So today we do about 600 telehealth sessions a week to children across 4 states, even as far away as Fitzroy Crossing in WA. And it is really important for families that just can't access services locally. It's got to be part of the mix. And certainly face-to-face services are really fantastic, and we'd like to be able to deliver all services face-to-face. But sadly, the reality is that just can't be at the moment.
Stay with me, Jacqui. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Jacqui Emery, Chief Executive Officer of Royal Far West. Now, I know you have schemes around bushfires, droughts, those sorts of things. So just explain what they are.
Well, what we've found in recent years is climate change, climate-related disasters are really changing childhood in this country. And the communities that are most impacted are rural and remote communities. And kids in these areas, often who perhaps have more developmental challenges than their city counterparts, we know that already. And then they're disproportionately affected by these disaster level events. It really has an impact on them. And then on top of that, there are limited local health services that they really require in order to recover from those events. And so since the 2020 bushfires, we've been working in at least 60 communities, supporting kids with their recovery, building their resilience, and supporting all of those key adults around the children, like their teachers and their parents, how best to respond and support their kids when things like that happen.
It's kind of like the silent sufferers, some of these guys.
Yeah, we often call them the invisible children. And, you know, kids are really interesting. They respond to these things in really different ways. Often they're really worried about their parents and how they're going to react. So sometimes they don't really express how they're feeling. And sometimes they just don't even have the skills to actually be able to process what they've been through and to communicate what's going on for them.
So how many kids do you help every year?
So last year we actually supported over 5,000 kids and over 22,000 beneficiaries. And the beneficiaries are always parents, teachers, health professionals, all of those that are with the child. So we work together as a team.
Okay, 100 years. When are you 100 years?
We're 100 years on the 5th of December of this year, which is such an important milestone. Not many charities reach that milestone. So we feel really proud of our history and we really want to celebrate not only our past but also our future.
Okay, so what are you doing to celebrate?
Oh, lots of things, Sean. Well, it all kicks off with a big birthday party on the beach at Manly, which is obviously our home, and that'll take place on the day of our birthday. And then we have really a year-long calendar of events so that we can really take the celebration to all of the wonderful communities that have worked with us, that we've walked alongside for almost 100 years.
And you've got a big bike ride in May next year, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it will be our 11th bike ride, the Ride for Country Kids. But of course, because it's in our 100th year, we want to go to the places that are really special in our history. And so the ride kicks off in Burke, which was our first clinic outpost in 1931, where the very famous Nancy Bird Walton used to fly out our nurses out to that clinic outpost. And then we head to Cobar. And Cobar, of course, is our spiritual home. It's where our founder, Stanley Drummond, was from. And then we head to Nyngan and to Narromine. Narromine was actually the longest serving telehealth school that we've been working with. And we've been there for about 11 years now. And so it'll be great to show our 100 bike riders all of these fantastic parts of our history and what we're doing now and what we hope to do in these communities in the future.
Okay, so all these places are Western New South Wales, about 400 k's, is that right? All up?
Yes.
Over 3 days?
Yes.
Are you going to try and encourage fear and greed people to...
Well, we would love the listeners to join up. It is an incredible experience, and being out there in the outback of New South Wales, the communities are just so amazing. They're so friendly. The scenery is breathtaking. Actually going and seeing the impact that we have on kids in the schools out there, it's a cracker. So listeners should definitely join up and join the party.
Well, I'm going to talk to Michael Thompson, my co-host, and Adam Lang, who's our judge on our weekend edition. And if either of them do it, I'll do it. Deal?
Well, there's a challenge. Deal.
Jacqui Emery, thank you very much for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thank you, Sean.
That was Jacqui Emery, CEO of Royal Far West. This is the Fear and Greed Business Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.